Imagine a time when fierce warriors with hornless helmets sailed through misty seas, their dragon-headed ships slicing through the waves. A time when entire villages trembled at the sight of Viking sails on the horizon. But who were the Vikings really? Were they just ruthless raiders, or was there more to their story? In this video, we uncover the true history of the Vikings, their weapons, mythology, and legendary journeys, step by step. The origins of the Vikings. The Vikings originated from the cold, rugged lands of Scandinavia, modern-day Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. These were harsh environments where survival depended on resilience, strength, and ambition. With long winters and rocky terrain, farming was challenging. However, the people of these lands adapted, growing hardy crops like barley and rye, and raising livestock such as sheep, goats, and cattle. The name Viking is believed to have come from the Old Norse word Vikinger, meaning pirate or raider. But not all Vikings were warriors. Many were farmers, traders, and skilled craftsmen. They lived in small settlements, often along fjords or near rivers, where they could access both land and sea for trade and travel. Some historians believe it was due to overpopulation, economic pressures, and political instability in Scandinavia. Others point to their adventurous spirit, an insatiable thirst for exploration and conquest. The Vikings were not just raiders, they were pioneers who sought new lands, riches, and glory. Viking raids and expansion. In 793 AD, history changed forever when the Vikings launched a sudden and brutal raid on the monastery of Lindisfarne in England. The attack sent shockwaves across Europe. Who were these seaborne invaders, and why had they come? The Viking Age, 793 to 1066 AD, was defined by raids, expansion, and settlement. The Vikings targeted monasteries and towns along coastlines and rivers, taking wealth, slaves, and supplies. Their longships, designed for both deep-sea travel and river navigation, allowed them to strike unexpectedly and retreat before an organized defense could be mounted. They established settlements in England, Ireland, Scotland, and even as far as the Middle East. The Danelaw in England and Normandy in France were just a few of the Viking-controlled territories. Some Vikings, like the Rus, traveled through modern-day Russia, establishing trade routes and even ruling over Slavic populations. While many view Vikings as mere raiders, they were also skilled traders. Viking merchants traded furs, amber, and iron for silk, spices, and silver from as far away as the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic caliphates. Their world was vast, and their reach stretched across continents. Viking society and daily life. Viking society was structured and hierarchical. Jarls, the nobles, often ruling over territories. Carls, the farmers, traders, and craftsmen who made up most of Viking society. Thralls, the slaves, captured during raids or born into servitude. Despite their reputation for warfare, Vikings were also skilled shipbuilders, traders, and storytellers. Women had surprising rights for the era. They could own property, initiate divorce, and sometimes even rule in the absence of male leaders. Their homes were longhouses made of wood and turf, where families lived together with their animals for warmth. Feasting, storytelling, and music were an important part of Viking life. Their weapons and weapon names. A Viking's status was reflected in his weapons. Here are some of the most feared Viking arms. Swords, Ulfber swords, high quality, often decorated weapons wielded by the elite. These swords were made of superior steel, sharper and stronger than most medieval weapons. Axes, Dane axe, bearded axe, capable of splitting shields and helmets with a single blow. Many warriors preferred axes because they were cheaper and more accessible than swords. Spears, Edder, the most commonly used Viking weapon, effective for both throwing and stabbing. Bows and arrows, used in hunting and battle, though seen as less honorable than melee combat. Seeks, a short knife used for close combat and utility purposes. Shields, round wooden shields reinforced with iron, crucial for the Viking shield wall. Each warrior had their own unique fighting style, but all relied on skill, strength, and strategy. Viking warriors and their fighting style. Vikings were formidable warriors trained from a young age. Their most effective tactic was the shield wall, where warriors locked their shields together, forming a nearly impenetrable barrier. Then, there were the berserkers, fearsome warriors who fought in a trance-like rage, possibly induced by hallucinogenic substances. They charged into battle without fear, striking terror into their enemies. They fought for honor, for riches, and for a place in Valhalla, the great hall of fallen warriors in Norse mythology. Death in battle was seen as glorious, ensuring an eternity of feasting and combat alongside Odin himself. Viking mythology and gods. The Viking world was deeply rooted in mythology, with gods and spirits shaping every aspect of life. The Vikings believed that their gods controlled nature, fate, and even their destiny in battle. Here are some of the most powerful Norse gods. Odin, the All-Father, ruler of Asgard, god of wisdom, war, poetry, and the afterlife. He sacrificed an eye for wisdom and was always seeking knowledge. He ruled over Valhalla, where fallen warriors feasted in preparation for Ragnarok. Thor, the god of thunder, storms, and protection, known for his unmatched strength. He wielded the hammer, Mjolnir, which could summon lightning and always returned to his hand. Loki, the trickster god, known for causing chaos, deception, and sometimes aiding the gods. He was responsible for many disasters and was eventually bound by the gods as punishment. Freya, the goddess of love, fertility, and war. She ruled over the afterlife realm, Folkvanger, where half of the Viking warriors who died in battle were taken, while the other half went to Valhalla. The Vikings believed in Ragnarok, a prophesied apocalyptic battle that would bring the end of the world, where gods and giants would clash in a final war. Viking exploration and discoveries. Long before Christopher Columbus set sail for the New World, the Vikings had already reached North America. Around the year 1000 AD, the Norse explorer Leif Erikson, son of Eric the Red, led an expedition westward from Greenland and discovered a land he called Vinland, believed to be modern-day Newfoundland, Canada. This made the Vikings the first known Europeans to set foot in North America, nearly 500 years before Columbus. But their exploration didn't stop there. The Vikings were exceptional sailors and navigators, using their advanced longships to travel vast distances. They established settlements in Iceland and Greenland, demonstrating their ability to survive in harsh climates. In the east, Viking traders and warriors traveled through Russia, reaching as far as the Byzantine Empire, modern-day Turkey. Some even served as Varangian guards, an elite unit protecting the Byzantine emperor. Their presence was also felt in the Middle East, where they traded goods like furs, honey, and weapons in exchange for silk, spices, and silver. These fearless Norsemen left their mark on history as some of the greatest explorers of their time. Viking kings and leaders. The Viking Age was shaped by powerful leaders who led great conquests, ruled vast kingdoms, and became legendary figures in European history. Some of the most famous Viking rulers include 1. Ragnar Lothbrok, the fearless raider. One of the most legendary Viking warriors, Ragnar Lothbrok was said to have raided across England and France. His name appears in Norse sagas, blending history and myth. While his real existence is debated, his supposed sons, Bjorn Ironside, Ivar the Boneless, and Sigurd Snake in the Eye, became real historical figures who led Viking armies against the Anglo-Saxons and the Franks. 2. Harald Hardrada, the last Viking king. Harald Hardrada, meaning Harold the Ruthless, was a powerful warrior and ruler of Norway. He spent years fighting as a mercenary in the Byzantine Empire before claiming the Norwegian throne. In 1066, he attempted to conquer England, but was defeated and killed at the Battle of Stamford Bridge. His death is seen as the end of the Viking Age. 3. Knut the Great, the Viking Emperor. Knut the Great was a Danish Viking who became the King of England, Denmark, and Norway, forming what was known as the North Sea Empire. He ruled with wisdom and strength, blending Viking and Anglo-Saxon cultures. Under his rule, the Vikings were no longer just raiders, but powerful rulers shaping European history. The Christianization of the Vikings. For centuries, Vikings followed their pagan gods like Odin, Thor, and Freya, but by the 10th and 11th centuries, Christianity began spreading across Scandinavia. Contact with Christian lands through trade, alliances, and even warfare played a major role in this transformation. Here are important figures in Viking Christianization. Harald Bluetooth, King of Denmark. He was one of the first Viking kings to convert to Christianity and helped spread the new faith throughout Denmark and Norway. Olaf Tryggvason and Olaf II, Norwegian kings. These rulers aggressively promoted Christianity, sometimes by force, destroying pagan temples and building churches. Sweyn Forkbeard and Snut the Great. These Danish kings embraced Christianity while ruling over England and Scandinavia. By the end of the 11th century, most Viking societies had converted, marking a significant shift from their old ways. The once fierce pagan warriors were now part of a growing Christian Europe. The fall of the Viking Age. The Viking Age, 793 to 1066 AD, came to an end due to several factors. 1. The rise of stronger European kingdoms. As England, France, and other European nations grew stronger, Viking raids became more difficult. Kings built fortresses and better armies to defend against Norse attacks. 2. The Battle of Stamford Bridge, 1066. The death of Harold Hardrada at Stamford Bridge was a turning point. He attempted to invade England but was met with strong resistance from King Harold Godwinson. This defeat marked the end of large-scale Viking invasions. 3. The spread of Christianity. With Christianity now dominant, Viking society changed. Christian kings discouraged raiding, and churches replaced pagan traditions. Many Vikings became merchants, farmers, and settlers instead of warriors. 4. The integration into European society. By the late 11th century, Vikings had settled across Europe. Many became knights, landowners, and rulers, blending into the societies they once raided. The fearsome Viking warriors of old had transformed into key figures in medieval Europe. Although the Viking Age ended, their legacy lives on in history, language, and even modern culture. Scandinavian influence can be seen in place names, words, and traditions across Europe and beyond. Their legendary stories continue to inspire books, movies, and TV series today. Viking legacy and cultural influence. Even after their decline, Vikings left a lasting impact. Many modern English words come from Old Norse, and Scandinavian influence can still be seen in place names across England, Scotland, and Ireland. The Viking spirit of exploration influenced later European expeditions, and their ship designs inspired future naval technology. Viking festivals, reenactments, and TV shows continue to spark interest in their legacy. The mystery of lost Viking settlements. Archaeologists continue to uncover Viking mysteries. Settlements like those in Greenland, founded by Eric the Red, mysteriously vanished. Some theories suggest climate change, resource depletion, or conflicts with indigenous peoples. Other lost Viking outposts are still being searched for, and new discoveries may one day rewrite history. The Vikings were not just raiders. They were explorers, traders, and pioneers. Their legacy lives on in modern culture, from language to traditions. So, the next time you hear the word Viking, remember, it's not just about battles and raids. It's about a people who shaped the world in ways still felt today. If you enjoyed this journey through Viking history, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic Viking stories. Skål!